for anybody that's listening or watching, y'all want to give the elevator pitch, who you are, what you do, and who you do it to?
It's your stage. Go ahead.
I'm Mitzi Delgado, and this is my husband, Jason, and we are realtors here in the area with Delgado Real Estate Group, brokered by EXP, and we just like helping people. That's kind of our thing.
Nice.
I think our philosophy in doing all of this is that we want to help people with their real estate needs, and sometimes as a side effect, we get paid.
That's fair.
I mean, many times there's a better option. Maybe it's not to sell. Maybe it's not to, we can find something else. And so we just want to do what's best for the folks out there that need help.
You started real estate, and then you came in shortly after. Well, I don't know about shortly, but
no.
So you were a property manager before, right?
I was a regional supervisor for 10 of the 17 years that I was in property management.
Okay.
I started out as a leasing agent, worked my way up to regional manager, managed all over the country, did lots of new construction, did lots of rehab stuff.
New construction. And these are all apartment complexes?
Yes.
So how did you decide to say, you know what? Because, I mean, you sound like you have a pretty successful career in that.
Yes.
So how did you say, you know what? I'm going to go into this. I'm going to go into real estate.
I was actually licensed in 06 and 07 timeframe, but I was managing Class A assets, so your more luxury apartments. So my tenant profile was potentially home buyers. So I was asked to make my license inactive as a conflict of interest. So I did, and then I met somebody next to me, and we got pregnant. And being a regional supervisor takes a lot of work and a lot of time, and it just wasn't very conducive for it anymore. I went back into the apartment industry for a little bit after we had Jackson. And then God told me I didn't need to be in the apartment industry anymore. So,
what about you, Jason? What did you do before you got into real estate?
I did various things. I was in cable business for 20 years. And then life happened and just went to go work with friends. It was kind of a weird deal. One buddy said, "Hey, I'm working over here. Why don't you come apply?" So I applied. And I had another buddy, "Hey, I'm working over here. Why don't you come apply?" So I kind of just moved around. I really didn't know what I wanted to do. The last job that I had was in fuel maintenance, card readers, point of sale systems. And when she was doing real estate, "Hey, so-and-so's looking for a house. Hey, so-and-so wants to sell their house." So after like 3 or 4, I'm like, "Hey, don't you like get a referral fee or something?" So I'm not seeing any of this.
Yeah.
So, well, in the state of Texas, I can only pay you $50 because that's, you're not a licensed agent. I was like, "Well, shit, give me my license."
I was like, actually, I think my answer was you are getting your referral fees.
When did y'all get together?
So we met April the 11th of 2015.
And 2015 until you got your license was how long?
4 years.
4 years. You're pretty established as a realtor already. You left what you were doing and started real estate full time.
Right. That's correct.
And why?
Well, it was one night, you've been to the house, we're sitting at the island, just shooting the stuff, and between Mitzi and my aunt, they're like, "You just need to get your damn license." There's just, you have it, when they teach you, well, they don't teach you, but when you get into real estate, they tell you to work your sphere of influence. I never knew how big my sphere of influence was. Your people around you, your contacts.
Yeah.
So, and it's not that those people need to sell or buy a house, it's people they know.
Right.
Just keep me in the back of your mind, and I'll treat them as I've treated you. Everyone talks about advertising. We've done tons of advertising and marketing and stuff. The biggest thing that anyone in business can get is word of mouth. Yeah, whether it's good, bad, or otherwise, you
talking about you. That's all that matters.
Well, and to that point, people have gotten away from the belly to belly network marketing, and I think that's something that we tried. And even prior to Jason, getting his license, that I tried to maintain, which was, really getting in front of people and shaking hands and kissing babies per se. And I think that people have gotten away from that and have gotten away from customer service. It's that turn and burn mentality. It's like, all right, cool, got you under contract on the next one.
Numbers. And
that's not the case with us. It's extremely important for us, for our clients to know that, we're building a relationship. Like, we're going to know you forever. Like, when you need that plumber later down the road, or that, AC person, or
a banner.
or a banner, or, whatever it is. We may not always have the answer, but we can at least go out to our sphere and find like-minded individuals that are going to hopefully take care of them the way that we want them taken care of, or we would take care of them.
When you're saying that you've got plumbers and you've got HVAC people and, your sphere of influence and everything like that, that's a huge thing. You know what I mean? How do you cultivate that Rolodex, I guess? Because there's so many people. There's so many experiences. There's good, there's bad, and it's like, and we've run into some instances in our own deal where we're the hero one time and then we're the asshole the next.
Right.
You know what I mean? So how do you keep on top of that Rolodex? You know what I mean? Because your personal AC can only go out so many times.
I keep an Excel spreadsheet, and when we refer somebody, we try to refer 3.
Okay.
That way we're not saying this is our guy. You vet the person, you speak with them, you get the price. Mm-hmm. We're just the contact.
Sure. Then
we follow up with those people. Hey, how did it go? Was it good, bad? Otherwise, get the feedback. Okay. We've had to go away from some people because, I'm talking, we had a full renovation job for a client, mm-hmm. and the contractor kind of got into it with our client.
And we didn't know until after the fact. But
that's how you found out. You follow up. Right.
Well, and to speak to what Jason said about, following up with not only the client of, hey, what was your experience, but also following up with the contractor to say, hey, how did that job go? Was there any issues? Because sometimes things get lost in communication.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes we have to get involved during the process. We try to make sure that our contractors know, and this comes from having worked with maintenance staff in the apartment industry. Mm-hmm. You take care of your people, mm-hmm. they're going to take care of you. Sure. And that's a situation when it comes to contractors. It's like, look, we'll do anything that we can to make sure that, things stay right with the client, but we've got to know.
Real quick. So, going back to whenever both of y'all decided to be full-time realtors, did you, Mitzi, think that, did you look at it as a business, or did you look at it as just like a job?
When I left the apartment industry, it wasn't by choice. I was asked to leave the last position I was in, and that's why I say, God told me I didn't need to be in the apartment industry anymore.
Gotcha.
So there came up that at that point, I had no choice. To be able to pay our bills, mm-hmm. I had to close one house a month, sure. on average. So it wasn't really a choice at that point. It was I have to. And that's what I talked to. So now with EXP, we have a mentor program, and I am a certified mentor within EXP. And we do, we have mentees, and, I talk to them, and some of them are part-time. They're still working another job, and that's cool. But I tell them there's a different mentality when you have to versus, oh, I could.
Yeah.
Because I have another paycheck coming in. So for me initially, now, fast forward that 4 years, mm-hmm. when that second income stopped, mm-hmm. when he left, which was in September of 2018. From September of 2018 to December of 2018, those 4 months, we spent more time together in those 4 months than we had in the previous 4 years. So that, and you know that we work from home. Yep. So, we don't have an office. That took some adjustment. Sure. That took some serious adjustment. And then in 2019, things kind of started rolling, and then, we were very blessed in 2020 and, have been incredibly blessed again. And, he gets to win the Employee of the Year award.
How often?
3 years running.
3 years running.
Yes.
What's the competition look like this year?
You're looking at it.
Yeah, that's right.
So Jason, what is it like? Do y'all pretty much just go on your own ways, or do y'all still work everything together, or what's that look like?
Everything's together. And
everything?
Those 4 months we had to figure out who does what.
Yeah.
Because we were just running around with chickens with our head cut off. It took some adjusting.
Mm-hmm.
There were days that we were going to kill each other.
For those of y'all who are listening, their eyes just got about twice the size as normal. They're looking at each other.
So the story for you listeners that most people know is we were sitting in our house. So I'm sitting at the dining room table. She's sitting at the bar. We're working. I was like, hey, I need that document, this. Well, I'll get it. I was like, well, I asked you about it 2 days ago. Well, yeah, I'm going to get it. I was like, well, I need it now. So it caused a little conflict there. And I don't know if I like this work, Jason. I was like, well, who did you think you're going to be working with? That party guy that you started dating 3 years ago?
Yes.
I was like, that dude shows up at 5. Who do you think pays for party Jason? Work Jason, man.
And see, I'm pretty much same. Like work, not work, what like personality wise, it's the same. It's always like fun, cutting up, having, whatever. He's the very like structured list, schedule, this and that. And I fly by the seat of my pants all the time.
Well, it's funny when you said work Jason, party Jason, because like I remember like one of the first few times that I met you, it was at poolside or whatever. But then when I started seeing you at like chamber events or whatever gatherings or whatever, like you're like different. You got your notepad and you're attentive. It's not like
this dude?
Yeah, I was just like, man,
I was trying to figure that out too.
Should I cut a joke with him or what? I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, it took some adjustment. So I'll say this: what ended up happening that really kind of solidified where we are. And while yes, we still do everything together, we do have very distinct roles in what we're doing. COVID really pushed us to figure out our strengths. Because he was the one primarily going out of the house during COVID, when all of us still didn't really know what was going on, this time, this time in 2020. And so he was the one going out of the house doing the showings or doing the virtual showings. He was the one going to the listing appointments and, video chatting me in because I was having to stay home with Jackson because daycares were closed. And so, he was going to the inspections. He was going and meeting the photographers for photographs. Like he was the one going out of the house and I was the one primarily staying at home, doing the majority of the paperwork and negotiating with realtors and that kind of stuff. And that's kind of solidified. We figured out what we're both good at. He's much better at searching in MLS and I used to get onto him for diving into the weeds, but, now the fact that he's dove into the weeds, he found properties that because other agents didn't put him in the system correctly, he was able to find them.
So, working in software, trash in is trash out. Yep. So whatever you
If you're in a hurry, you're just blasting stuff in. Yeah, no.
Well, and now to be real honest, realtors have gotten lazy. That you don't have houses are
shots fired. Settle down.
Well,
no, I mean, yeah, that's
houses are selling so fast.
Right, they don't need to get very detailed.
No,
yeah.
Well, I mean, we're seeing more and more iPhone photographs. I mean, it's bad. Now, I do feel like in the real estate world, if you look at the numbers, 20% of the realtors in San Antonio do 80% of the business. I mean, if you look at the numbers.
I used to have somebody tell me that when you go fishing, 90% of the fish are in 10% of the lake.
If you look at volume wise and look at agents and what have you, most agents don't close more than 4 deals a year. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all.
Place for everybody.
It's just, that's not where we're at.
Sure.
We have put all of our eggs in one basket. We have made this, our chosen career to, support our family. And, now we've been blessed to be put in a position where we're looking to expand that to start purchasing investment properties of our own. Very and, working towards my broker's license to add Delgado Property Management. And so,
That's terrific. I mean, I think that a lot of people, a lot of realtors, it's like the first step. They get to be a realtor. They just sit and get comfortable, and that's great. Not slamming anybody that does that. That is what it is. But it's nice to hear you have, y'all have a plan for the future. You got somewhere you want to be. Of course you're going to have ups and downs or whatever, but growth I think is important. That's awesome.
And where it, the how it came to fruition was, he was leaving before Jackson was awake and coming home after Jackson was asleep and being on call in evenings and on the weekends. And while the overtime money was nice, don't get me wrong, the quality of life aspect was way more important. And there came a point where I said, but what if, financially? Yeah. And there was some financial bumps along the way, but
always is.
It was worth it. It was worth it. Those tight times were worth where we are today and where we're going.
Looking forward, do you two see having employees like not the team building that you're doing with the marketing and but I mean actual employees, other realtors underneath you in your team?
Oh yes.
No.
Yes, I love it.
And that's when the fight starts.
Yeah. Now, see, for me, it's that been there, got that t-shirt in the apartment industry. People aren't going to do things the same way that we do.
And that's that's okay. They'll find their way. But like you said earlier, I want to bring somebody in under us, teach them the basics, what they need, and they can sprout.
And see, from my perspective, I'm kind of getting the best of both of those worlds with the mentor program. We both do things very differently. And so from a mentee's perspective, you know, I show them how I do things, then he shows them how he does things, and then they can take away from that what's best for them.
To see two wildly different examples from my mentor or whatever, I think is a great idea. So I'm just curious, how do y'all do anything the same? Well,
because we have modified how we're doing things. So you asked earlier, do we do everything together? And the answer was kind of yes. We do, but we don't. And so because we've really focused on, you know, this is his strengths and these are my strengths. And so it ends up being that, you know, he doesn't really do any of the contract paperwork or any of that because that's my strength. But I don't really do that many searches for clients as far as looking for houses because he's better at that. I can do it still, but he's going to find better data than I do. What we've been finding, and when I say he's been finding that when you do a neighborhood search, if the agent that's entering that information doesn't check and make sure that the address is correct on the map, especially with new constructions that are entered in the system, that, you know, it'll show that it's in downtown Seguin when in reality it's like in the outskirts, or it'll show that
you're just using the zip code.
Yeah. Right. It'll just show that, you know, the pin is in downtown Cibolo when really it's off 78 down a ways, you know, so that's kind of where he's been able to find more information because he will take the time to sit there and draw it out on the map.
And let me ask you real quick. So whenever you're going through that kind of data, whenever you're going through the pictures to make sure that everything's accurate and you find discrepancies, do you recommend to the listing agent that they fix it, or do you just keep your own little book of notes?
Just move on. You're not gonna fix it. So we had a client looking at a ranch style house, 1 story out in Marion with land, you know, acreage, moving away from an area, just getting further out. So we found them a house in Marion. They went under contract. Just wasn't panning out. Went a certain loan. It didn't appraise. Just getting ready to back out. Said, hey, did y'all look at the house next door? No, I didn't like the pictures. It's like, no.
No, but did you look at the house next door?
Never judge the pictures. I go, so I scheduled it, walked in. As soon as they walked in, well, this is nothing like the photos. So I tell people, you're going to see some photos that look really bad, but you need to go see it.
Right.
You're going to see some photos that look really great.
And when you get there, you're like, what?
Yeah. You know, they get the nice fish lens, you know, make it, this is so big.
The sky is so beautiful. And how much commercial real estate do you guys do?
Just started.
Yeah. We've had one purchase. We had one deal under contract all of 2020 that because of zoning issues with the city, it ended up not panning out. And then
the detail on that one.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, we're not. No, we almost got divorced over that one.
What area in commercial real estate are you all focusing in on?
It's all
everywhere.
Yeah,
everywhere, Texas, huh? You seem to have a pretty specific strategy of how you want to move forward with the real estate side of it. Do you have equal amount of focus on what you're going to do moving forward with commercial, or?
We're very selective.
Yeah.
You've got to be careful what you get into. So
I know firsthand a woman quit the real estate business all over one commercial real estate. She was a very successful residential realtor. And she did like 3 commercial deals, and then the last one, she got involved with some investors, and they were talking about suing her, and it just blew up in her face, and she quit. She completely quit real estate. How did you get your license? Did you go through the Champion School, or
no? I did all my stuff online.
What about you?
Same thing online.
You did online?
Now I'll say this: when I did mine online, I was coming from 17 years of while multifamily is not the same. It is very similar.
Well, yeah.
Our contracts are similar. You're still dealing with fair housing. You're still dealing with, dealing still with the basis of all of our contracts are written under Texas Property Code. Looking back in hindsight, he probably should have gone in person. It would have been easier for him, just because he had
way
heard.
in hell I could pass anything online.
Well,
I don't know how I did it.
Even if I had a book of answers, I still would screw it up.
Well, and the thing about it is that he had heard so much real life real estate. and hearing me talk about stuff that, the questions were being asked. And he's like, well, but what
terms were being used differently,
but he would get into the what if. So what if this? What if that? And I'm like, no. Like, you have to read the question for what the question is.
I feel like every time I read questions or like there's a test, anytime, any survey, whatever, it doesn't matter. I feel like every single time that I'm reading these things, I feel like there's not enough data.
Nope.
I feel like there's not enough information for me to answer the question.
Nope.
Never. So.
It frustrated the shit out of me.
Well,
I was like, hey, I got this one wrong. Why is it wrong? It's this.
Yeah.
Well, no, you no bullshit.
And it's true. And I told him, look, and anybody who's looking at getting into real estate, one, if anybody tells you that it's easy, they're lying. Two, the real estate classes prepare you to pass the exam.
Right.
And that's it.
Not real life.
And the exam is not real life. The only time you will ever use a meets and bounds survey or description is when you're dealing in farm and ranch.
Mm-hmm.
Like outside of that, you will never need meets and bounds ever again. And it's really heavily focused on in your pre-licensing courses and on the exam to an extent. And so, you really, and that's one of many examples that I could give. But, that's where I was like, look, when you go to take the test, you can't what if it. You have to read specifically what it's asking and find the best answer of what you're being given as options. Because 9 times out of 10, the answers aren't right. Like none of them are right.
Wow.
Even if you factor out the what ifs, the answers are not correct. So that's where he had a hard time.
C and D. Well, like you, like me, I need E.
Yeah.
I need to fill in the blank.
Yeah, right. What is the Texas Real Estate Commission? What is it, and what does it have to do with you guys?
So they're our licensing body. They are the enforcement, if you were to say that, if there's ever an issue. And there's actually 2 different things. Texas Real Estate Commission protects the public. TAR, Texas Association of Realtors, protects the realtors.
When we're talking to clients, we like to get them on speakerphone so that we're both talking.
Okay.
But there's some phone conversations that she does not want me on. So, and one particular one showing clients a house, they really fell in love with this house. It had been on the market 60 plus days. This is a slam
because
dunk.
It was overpriced.
Well, that's in my story. It was overpriced, but it was on the market 60 days. There's no competition. Not that they had been beaten out, but they just couldn't find what they had wanted.
Right.
They wanted to be out in a certain area. Found a house, 60 days. Go out there. They fell in love with it. Called the agent. Hey, we want to make an offer, but it seems kind of high for the area. Can you give a call when you get back? Calls Mitzi back. She's on a speaker. We're talking, and I'm sitting. Shit. She said, yes, this is so-and-so. How can I help you? We took clients to go look at this house, but do you have any comps to support it? Because it seems a little bit overpriced for the area. Mm-hmm. Well, I already have an offer.
Well, no, she said, what board are you a member of?
What board are you a member of? And I yelled across the room, what difference does it make?
Yeah.
And I said, I'm a member of all 3. This is why I'm asking, because it was in an outlying area that could fall into more than one board. So that's why I was asking that question. And so she was like, well, what border? And I said, well, again, all 3. So which one do you want me to look in so that I can go find comps? Because what I'm seeing, the house is a little, and mind you, it was a cash buyer. So, we weren't dealing with loan type.
So she says, well, I've already accepted an offer and we're under contract. I go, but it shows active in the system.
Yeah.
Well, I received it yesterday. We accepted it yesterday, and I just been too busy to change it in the system. I go, but I changed the scheduling twice on this house, so you've seen it come in since then.
Yeah.
And you still allowed it to happen.
She approved 2 appointments.
Because I changed, changed. I go, you saw it twice, and you didn't figure to call me and let me know?
Yeah, that's under contract?
Well, no. I go, you're the shitty realtor that people talk about. She's all, excuse me? I go, you heard the fuck I said. So that's when I thought Tar would be knocking out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, hey, that brings up a good point. So if you have somebody who wants to file a complaint against you, Jason, does it go against both of y'all or does it go against you? Because you have your own license.
Right.
It depends. And the reason, yes, it can go
that
directly.
One would be me.
Yeah.
Right. But because we're now listed, we're officially we are officially registered as a team with TREC. The Delgado Realty Group is a registered team.
Okay.
And so to be able to advertise Delgado Realty Group, we had to register as a team. And so it depends on if they were to, and in San Antonio Board of Realtors, we are listed as a team. Mm-hmm. So it just depends on how they would file it.
Gas as right now is through the roof right now. So if I had a delivery job or a delivery aspect of my company, I would definitely raise the delivery rates because the gas is so much more expensive.
Right.
You guys, how does it work? Everybody always gets freaked out by the big numbers, but what a lot of people don't realize is how much is taken out of those big numbers, and what you're left with is you can't just say, hey, you know what? Gas is expensive. We're going to charge a bigger percentage.
Well, especially so it's different on the buying and selling side.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're representing a buyer, 9 times out of 10, the seller of whatever house they're paying is paying your commission,
Okay.
not the actual buyer.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're the listing agent, you have a certain percentage that you're charging, and there's an industry norm for our area.
What is the industry norm?
6%.
And that's for the total transaction.
Correct. So if there's an agent on the other side, they get 3, we get 3. Now, not all agents split it that way.
Sure. But the listing agent is the one who controls who gets the split, right?
Correct.
So could you list a house at 10%?
Sure.
As long as the seller agrees to it.
It's always negotiable.
Okay.
And now we've had where we've done multiple transactions with folks that we know they're going to buy and sell.
Mm-hmm.
We know we're going to get normally the 3% on the other side when they buy. So we don't have a problem discounting our percentage on their sell.
In the grand scheme of things, in let's just say Texas realtors in general, is it fair to say that the average commission is 3%?
Different markets are very different. I know like the Dallas and Houston area, it's 5. So it's 2.5 and 2.5. So,
Gotcha.
Or there are areas that it's 7 and the listing agent's taking 4 and giving the buying side 3. So it just really depends.
What would drive the percentages like that?
How well someone can present to the seller and get them to agree to that percentage.
That simple? I mean, the market, the local market itself has got a little to do with it.
We work on a tiered structure when it comes to listings. So what that means is if we start at 6%,
case by case scenario.
and if there's an
We
agent,
meaning your team?
yes,
Okay.
us. If there's not an agent on the other side of the deal, we typically will tier our percentage down because we're keeping all of it.
Sure.
So we'll go if there's a situation where we still did marketing and we still found the buyer, then we go down to 5. But say, and I've had this happen, you own the house that we're selling and your neighbor's friend that's coming in from California buys the house. So legitimately you found that buyer. It was through no marketing that we did, and there's not an agent on the other side.
Sure.
Then we would go down to 4.
Have you ever been held hostage by a client? And if you have, how did it turn out?
Well, but we've never been put in a situation where a client said, I want some of that rebated back to me.
Okay.
Now, have we, through best interest of building relationships strategically with clients that we know are potential multiple purchasers or multiple sellers?
Sure. Well, that's different.
Right. But no, we've never been, I'm not going to sign if you don't. No.
What would you say your typical client is?
No,
Are they all over the board? You
over.
don't have
They are. I'll say this though, like, so
age range,
you've done
type of loan.
we've done a lot of, training, obviously, and a lot of classes and things like that. And they tell you that you should have your typical client identified. And we kind of do. Ours is probably a little more broad than this, but it's that typical mom, dad with 2.2 kids, the dog, the cat, that are looking to either buy the first home or they're upsizing. We actually work with a lot of folks that are downsizing. The kids are grown, they're gone, they've moved, don't need the pool anymore, whatever. And that's more of our quote unquote typical client. However, I actually have my designation to work with divorcing couples in real estate. Yes, I'm a glutton for punishment.
Hold on, I'm wrapping my head around that. Divorcing, divorcing couples,
In the
couples that
process
are
of-
divorcing.
yes.
Yeah. You have to have a special designation for that.
You don't have to, but it's
helps.
better because there are a lot of aspects that divorce attorneys don't know what they don't know. And so they're really good
Nobody knows what they don't know.
They're really good at dividing assets and handling child custody situations and child support and that kind of stuff. Okay, here's all the stuff. Let's split it up. Here's the kids. That's how they're going to be supported, whatever, right? That's what divorce attorneys are really good at. It's not their responsibility. You wouldn't go to a general doctor to have a tooth pulled. It's
Right.
not that's not their specialty. It's the same thing with attorneys. So, it took 4 years to finally get my foot in the door with a couple of attorneys, to be able to, again, create those relationships. But now that we do work for a couple of attorneys and pretty consistent work for these attorneys, our pool of client is now diversifying a lot more.
Sure.
Because of that, because it's a pretty steady stream of
People
clients.
get divorced, huh?
Well, it's
50%.
well, it's not just divorces.
50%
though.
what?
Isn't that the ratio?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know.
50% of marriages end in divorce.
Really?
I don't know.
Pick a color. One of you two pick a color. All right, hold on. Don't pick the deck. Just pick the color. Because I'm going to shuffle them up.
Okay.
So black it is.
So black it is.
Normally, what I'll do is I will draw 5 cards, and then I'll ask, I'll ask you what they say, or tell you what they say, and then you answer however you want. Since there's 2 of you, I did 6 cards, and you're going to do 3 apiece.
3-3.
All right, Jason.
Yes.
If you could ask one person one question, and they had to answer truthfully, who and what would you ask?
I think my question would be for my mom,
Okay.
who's no longer here. Did I turn out the way you wanted me to?
Ooh, that's some deep shit there. Oof. Okay. What's your favorite gadget?
Oh, geez.
What the hell, dude? I get that.
Hey. That's the way they were shuffled, man.
Hey, you pick the color.
Oh, dude.
I don't know if it's a gadget. I think it's really sweet that, so every night we have a little routine when we put Jackson to bed, and it's, we like to read, and, then, we go to bed and he has to say his prayers. And, recently he started asking me to sing the lullaby that I used to sing to him when he was a baby. And there's times that I'm like, because I'm tired and I want to go to bed. But then I'm like, man, when he's 13, he's not going to ask this question anymore. So I think it's more the fact that he's really now taken to, he likes to read his Bible, it's a little kid's Bible, like that's basically the parables that are broke down in like kid language.
Uh-huh.
And if he's going to go pick a book, like used to, it was like a dinosaur book or whatever, like he almost always, like now when he goes to grandma's or when he goes to me, mom, papa's, the book he's asking, he's got to take the Bible. He takes his Bible with him. And I think that's really sweet. Yeah.
How old is Jax?
He will be 6 in May.
All right, Jason, what are you most excited about right now?
I think you can relate to this. We're about to Icon. Do you know what that is with EXP?
No shit.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
So
At 4 p.m. today.
Wow.
She should be signing paperwork. And
So that's
explain that to everybody that's listening. What is Icon status with EXP Realty?
Okay.
I just said that because I know you know what it is.
Yeah.
Now
So-
we'll explain it.
Okay, so with EXP and most quote unquote bigger brokerages, you have a certain amount that you pay in to the broker on a split basis until you called what's cap.
So from that 6%, 3%.
Right. So once you pay in that amount, which with EXP is $16,000, then from that point on, you're making 100% minus the transaction fee. Well, then, capping is about volume. Iconing is about quantity.
Okay.
So then you have to close on average 20 additional transactions after capping within your same year, because we roll April the 1st.
Okay.
To then Icon. And when you Icon, then you get that $16,000 you paid in back in EXP stock.
Yeah.
And so last year we were 3 transactions short.
Well, you said April 1st?
Yeah.
Friday. So y'all are still cutting it close, but man, that's awesome. Congratulations.
We were sweating it.
We've got one that's going to close before April 1st.
Yeah, we have one that's closing tomorrow.
So we're over.
She's signing today, but she actually will close tomorrow, and that Icons us.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Congratulations. Mitzi, if you had to teach one class on one thing, what would you teach?
Wow, it's funny you asked me this. So, side note, I was asked to be on the SCU CISD strategic planning committee that helps kind of map out what the district's going to do for the next 4 years.
That's school for anybody listening.
Yeah. And we just Thursday and Friday all day, we were in seminar doing this, like designing, the core values, the mission statements, all that. So I've actually had a lot of extensive conversations of what our children, what we want their learning to look like in the next 4 years. So, I would say for me, the thing that I wasn't taught well, that I had to figure out that I really suck at, is financial planning.
Sure.
And I feel like
I don't think you're alone in that.
And I feel like that we as a society have gotten so focused on, there's actually a TED Talk that talks about linear learning versus agricultural learning. And we've gotten away from, and what linear learning is the very like forward assembly line, like this is, you do this and then that, and then this and then that. And it's all age and grade, line. Whereas agricultural learning is cultivating. If you think about planting, crops or plants, you're tilling the land, you're providing the best environment, you're, fertilizing, you're giving them nutrients, making sure they have enough water.
Big picture.
Right. And you're putting each individual person in a environment that they can cultivate what's best for them based on their own natural talents. And maybe it's not that every person needs to learn, biology. If you're going to, do something that's more fine arts, why do I need to go dissect a frog?
Right.
So, and that's a very basic way to explain that. But I feel like, financial literacy, when kids get to college, it's like, credit card. You want a credit card? Everybody gets credit cards. And they don't understand the financial ramifications of what happens.
The parents do.
Well, but the problem for me, like I've gotten in and out of credit card debt like 4 times now in my life. And it's something that I wish I would have learned better earlier in life. I'm very blessed to now have a husband and a spouse who's very good at that. And so I think that's something that inherently needs to be taught to everyone, regardless of what you're going to do. Just life skills. Yeah.
Well, I mean, life skills in general, right? So outside of the finance aspect of that, I think there was a lot of life skills that I could have benefited from that I didn't learn in high school. You know what I mean? Or any type of formal schooling or whatever,
Well, and
you get to learn how to balance a checkbook, but who the hell uses checks?
You still got to know how to manage money,
right?
And know what you have
management
coming in
of money.
and coming out.
It's understanding.
There's a lot.
It's understanding a credit score. It's understanding how does a credit score come about? What does financial debt do? How can it negatively impact you?
So, Jason, what's your reoccurring nightmare?
Oh.
Do you know what's going on up here?
No, but
reoccurring nightmare. I'm asleep really, really light because I really don't have very many dreams, or I guess a nightmare for me. Nightmare. What do I talk about that pisses me off?
So if I can answer this for him,
sure.
This is what I would say the perception is. So Jason is that person that when you go anywhere, that is always head on a swivel. And, if he sees one thing, he's that person that's seeing all the potential threats and what could be an issue and what could be a problem. And
that person looks weird. Why are they?
Right. And goes again down a path that like, I would have never even thought, this person could, A to B to C could happen.
Right.
And I guess I don't want to say it's because I led probably a little bit, I don't want to say a sheltered life, but compared to the life experiences he had when he was younger versus the life experiences I had when I was younger, it would be considered sheltered.
Well, I mean, it's probably some things that you've been around too. I mean, no offense, but when you grow up on a farm, you don't have the city stuff going on.
Well,
around.
And then too, right? I mean, it's something as simple as just changing your placement where you're standing in line could have such a dramatic effect if something were to happen. You know what I mean?
Well, you want, if something were to happen, you want to be able to extract yourself and those with you, like.
Always got an exit.
He is the overly prepared for everything that could potentially happen always person. And that's good. And I mean, I thought that I was self-aware and aware of my surroundings. And then there came a point where I actually was attacked in a parking lot and realized I wasn't. And so, but now like, I feel it's almost like I've gotten comfortable knowing he's got, like, I don't have to worry about it.
So that's a nightmare for him.
Well, so answering that, the reoccurring nightmare or thing that goes in my head is having my kids grow up in this world that we're becoming.
Yeah.
Scary, man.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
You want to protect them as much as you can. And
I mean, it sucks that as a kindergartner, he's already had a drill on active shooter. I mean, that's not what they called it as a kindergartner.
That's what it is.
But it's what it was, yeah.
What's the biggest mistake you think you've made in real estate? What do you think is your biggest mistake that you
Asking me to get my license.
See, and I was going to say
that'd be more of a domestic issue than it is real estate.
And I was going to say not making him get his license soon enough.
I really are completely opposites.
Yeah,
polar opposites.
So I would say the biggest mistake I made was when I was pregnant with Jackson, and I had a choice to push real estate full time, or I was kind of doing some work for a landscaping company and some other stuff like right before I had Jax. And I should have pushed my real estate business more at that time instead of getting the guaranteed paycheck.
Yeah.
And then, when I went back into the apartment industry, I probably shouldn't have. I should have just stayed out and focused on real estate. But
should have got started sooner.
Yeah. And so,
wow, y'all both actually could agree on that.
Well, and he feels the same. I know he feels the same way too about that time frame, that I should have focused more on my real estate than.
I didn't like the situation she was putting herself in.
Yeah.
Hindsight's 2020. I mean,
yeah.
What's your favorite? What is y'all's favorite tool? Your most utilized tool for this business? You have one besides your phone. Phone don't count. Everybody's got to have a phone.
I'm going to say with the multiple listings or the MLS, I love playing and digging in that. Just
okay,
it is. I mean, it's fascinating
to him and it's tedious to me. And so that's where he's much better at it than I am, because I don't have the patience to sit there and do it.
Before we got into the market that we're in now, when I was just first starting, I went in, people said, "Oh, my budget's we'll say 250. Budget's 250. I want to find me a 250 house." Well, at the time, I said, let's go up to about 255, 260, because there's some negotiation room there.
Sure.
Well, I didn't think about that. It was just one of those things that, yeah, you have all these tools and knobs. Well, let's tweak them a little bit. Let's see what we can get out of it.
But it's funny because now, if you have a 250 as your max, you're setting at 230. You're setting the limit at 230, 240, because you have to have the room to go over.
Right.
So it's a completely different market.
What would you say your favorite tool is for this business?
I would say the ability to put ourselves into strategic positions within the community, and because it's not, for us, it's never been just about real estate. It's about,
relationships.
Yeah. And helping, the advocacy center and, the school districts, and, trying to be a positive influence. And so being able to strategically put ourselves, and I think this would fall back a little bit to one of my biggest mistakes in real estate was early on when I did finally take the plunge and go full time. I was saying yes to everything. I was, this club, that club, chair of this, chair of that.
Yeah.
And then you had to figure out that balance, because now some of that was taking away from our business, and it wasn't benefiting our business. And not that you do those things to benefit your business, because that's not why you do them specifically, but it is about strategically putting yourself in the right positions in front of people at the right times, when they're making that decision to buy that house or print that banner or whatever. So I think that the ability to have gotten better at finding those scenarios.
Perfect example, serving on the diplomat. Someone asked a question. Well, you're a realtor, right? Well, yes. And
right place, right time.
Well, you're a realtor, and you're on this Chamber of Commerce, and there's another realtor. Y'all are diplomats together. You and Missy Carpenter, great friend of ours.
Yeah.
Okay, what's your point?
Yeah.
Well, y'all are both realtors. What? I'm not here for the.
Aren't you competing?
Yeah, no, I'm not here for the business. I'm here to make a difference.
And Missy Carpenter's client is never going to be our client. Our client's never going to be Missy Carpenter's client.
Well, I think you can, and you could just remove both of y'all's names and say, I didn't even. There's a whole competition aspect to entrepreneurship that with realtors is just kind of, you can have that disposition that these people are your competitors, but in most entrepreneurship endeavors, you're going to have a network of people that you click with.
Yeah, but I mean,
and that don't click with you. You know what I mean? Like, as much as I want to, if I'm a realtor, Missy might have some business, some people that I will never be able to, even if I was better, or if you could even say that, if, you know what I mean? It doesn't, your competition is really not other realtors.
But I mean, to that person, I said, well, are you looking to buy or sell a house? Well, if I was, I go, I'd refer you to Missy. Well, why would you do that? I go, not that Missy's not fun, but Missy is business, and she's very professional. Not to say that I'm not, but I don't think
personality.
My personality and yours will mix.
Yeah.
Just to be honest, personalities have to mix. I mean,
Well, and he had a really good friend that, he had asked him to go to lunch that he used to work with. And he was like, I'm not trying to sell my house. And he's like, I'm not asking you to sell your house. And if you were selling your house, I wouldn't sell your house because I know what a cheap that you are. So I wouldn't want to sell your house.
Right.
so it was more relaxed after that. I was like, I'm not trying to sell you.
Now we can talk like people.
Right. We can talk about when we used to play poker back in the day,
So what is y'all's go-to for disconnecting from your business?
That was part of the thing we had to learn in the beginning.
Well, I did it real well.
I think. Well, I think this is a problem for most entrepreneurs.
I did it very well. Sitting at the house, both working. It was 2 years ago.
Well, it was before COVID.
Before COVID,
Jackson was still in daycare.
First week of the summer that it hit 100, and I'm sitting at the dining room table looking outside. You've been to the backyard. I'm like, damn, that looks good. So she's working. I go upstairs. I slip on some shorts, crawl out to the garage, load up a little ice chest, crawl back around the living room, and as I hit the back door, so what are you doing? I was like, I came to work early. I worked through lunch, and I'm taking off early. She's like, well, we can have some adult time. I am.
Yeah.
Kaboom.
I was like, dude, Jackson's still at daycare. He's like, and I was so into what I was working on at that moment that like, I really didn't want to stop. I'm very much I kind of have to be in the right mindset to do certain things. And I was getting stuff accomplished. So had I stopped, like I would have had to completely unpeel a lot of what I had already done. So I was real irritated with him at that point.
But you being an entrepreneur, you're running your own business. We basically run our own business.
Yeah.
You have to, if it's a 2-hour window on a Tuesday, you've got to take that 2 hours.
Yeah.
I know you want to get on your bike and just ride.
It is now. For a lot of years, I didn't have that.
You didn't have anything, so
Right.
you have to. You had to learn.
I straight burnt out. 2018 coming into 2018, it was tough for me.
You just had to learn to figure out what that was.
Well, and for us, we figured out the pockets, like he was saying, we both enjoy playing golf. So if we have a 2-hour window, we could potentially go get, 9 holes in on a par 3 in 2 hours and, get a break and enjoy time together. I think we also, one of the struggles in the beginning was learning how, if we were frustrated with, a situation or with clients or with the situation for the clients, because, a lot of times it's dealing with that agent that didn't change it in the system. And now our client's heart's broken and, you get emotionally invested because we are building relationships with these people. And so when their heart hurts, your heart hurts and you want to go fix it. And you want to, and so we had to figure out how to not bring in the work, if there was something negative with work going on, into the personal relationship. Like we had to shut down, like we couldn't get at each other because we were frustrated about something else that was going on with a client or with another agent or whatever. And so that took some time to kind of be like, okay, we've got to be able to say, this is work.
We still have to live together.
This is work. This is not personal. And we're now personally getting upset with each other over this. And it's not anything you or I have done.
This is where we're
the
at.
situation that we're dealing with. So we need to go put that situation over there and take our time.
But on the flip side, you have people who say, and I'm going to use Elon Musk because I saw this article about him. Someone said, oh, he's just so lucky. Well, you look at his life. He's working 18 hours a day, 7 days a week for 365 days a year.
Yeah.
That's not luck.
Right.
Yeah, that's not luck.
So you have to put in the work.
There's definitely perspective there. I think that you have to start your business that way. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I don't know anybody that's going to be able to quit their full-time job and work 20 hours a week and be successful. I think for me, I know, whenever I first moved into this building and I started my grind, it was vicious. I mean, it was 80, 100-hour weeks easy. You know what I mean? And then so the long-term goal isn't to continuously keep doing that.
No.
You
You
know
need
what I
to
mean?
work in the business to be able to work on the business, to be able to then move away from the business and the business to operate.
Right.
And that's the goal of really, hopefully, every entrepreneur, is that you get to the point that the business is still functioning, even though you're not there on a day-to-day basis.
Additional value to it.
Right.
There was a time you were at our house one day and you, multiple times there was stuff going on. Hey, where's Jason? Oh, he's working. Damn. You showed up one day and you just sat in this chair. And I'm like, dude, relax.
Yeah.
I saw it in your eyes,
Oh,
man.
yeah.
You were. I'm happy that you've got.
Yeah, man. It's a different life for sure. In 10 years, where do you want to see y'all's business, Jason? The year is 2032.
2032. 10
Jax
years
is
from now.
driving.
Oh, shit.
I just If we take our numbers where we're at now, I want to see times 10.
Yeah.
I want to do it.
Because we have been blessed to double each year.
I would like to. I know it's not. When you reach a goal, you have to set another goal.
Yeah.
I feel in the last 2 years, we've reached our goal, or what I set out to do. So we have to set that bar higher.
Yeah.
Now, if it comes to whether it's real estate, houses, commercial, once we get to property management, it'll be that. Just keep.
So how do you quantify that when you say 10 times your like dollar value or deals or just the whole encompassing business?
I would say dollar value because they all incorporate.
Sure,
they all incorporate together.
I think it's going to become more diversifying our stream of income. That it's not just solely
real estate,
transactional,
right.
residential real estate,
typical realtor transactions.
So I think where that comes in is I've now joined the Women's Real Estate Investment Association, and so really starting to focus more on. Okay, the real estate, the residential side is kind of humming along and it's doing its thing, and we maintain that and continue to grow that. Mm-hmm. But again, that person capacity, if we're not necessarily adding people on, you only have so much capacity to be able to do so much. So that's where if we diversify and add, my goal would be to flip 3 houses, hopefully this year.
But also teach other people that they can build a portfolio of wealth for them and their children, that whether it's a rental house or buying just properties, and teaching others that there's a financial gain for everybody. Yeah.
And I feel like, there's the 2 sides to investing, speaking to that, is that, I have I buy it, I fix it, I flip it, I sell it. Mm-hmm. And that's more of a short-term gain. And then there's the, I buy it and hold it and rent it. And I would like to have, within 10 years, I would like to have at least 10 that we are operating, that we own, that we rent, buying one a year. And then doing 2 to 3 flips a year.
To teach people how to do that. Because again, we're Military City, USA. On top of that, people just don't want to buy.
Right.
They want to rent. Mm-hmm. So if I can teach people how to buy these houses, fix them up, hold on to them, within X amount of years, you've paid off that loan.
Right.
And now it's all revenue.
So I think that there's a huge, and might get some pushback from the realtor sitting across from me here, but a lot of realtors, they like to put value that there's no value in renting, right? Like, you're throwing away your money. And like my school of thought is just not even that, nowhere near close. There's value in everything for everybody in some capacity. Okay. So for me in my life where I'm at right now, a rental makes a lot of sense. I'm never going to be there. I don't have to deal with it. I don't want to go cut the grass. I don't want to deal with the HOA. I don't want to deal with any of that shit. You know what I'm saying?
I agree with you 100%.
So there's definitely value in renting. So, and I'm bringing that up because that's what you're saying. You teach people, that, hey, you can rent these things out. You don't have, you can be a homeowner and not even live in your own home. Parting words of wisdom. I want to hear from both of you. Jason, parting words of wisdom for anybody looking to get into real estate, specifically become a realtor. What parting words of wisdom would you give? Or, any entrepreneur, really.
Be true to yourself, live up to your word. As not just an entrepreneur, but as a person, stand by what you say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that doesn't mean that can't change over time.
Oh, it absolutely changes.
You know
over
what I mean?
Time.
Yeah. Because if you're growing as a person, that should change. Mitzi, what about you?
So mine's going to be a little more life lessons. Learn from the things I did wrong. You don't have to take on every client. Mm-hmm. It's okay to fire a client.
Oh, yes, it is.
It is, and you don't have to say yes to everything. Because initially, as a new agent, people are like, "Oh, I got to eat. Yeah. I got to go at 10 o'clock at night." No, you don't. You don't have to answer you set setting. And I guess that the words of wisdom would be set appropriate expectations with your clients about what your work schedule looks like.
Well,
and,
just in general, so just set the appropriate expectations, period, with money, with availability, with your schedule, with what, like in my case, the product, what it is and what it isn't. I think setting expectations is huge. Yeah.
And because, I initially in talking about things now, like, I probably put myself in positions that I didn't need to, that could have potentially been harmful, as far as your safety and things like that. You're going into empty houses with people that you don't know. And so
it's sometimes in the sticks and the boonies.
Yeah. And so, you've got to be cognizant of that, and you don't have to say yes to everything. You got to learn how to say no.
Right on. Well, I know you guys got to go pick up the little one here pretty quick. So I just want to say thank y'all for coming down.
Hey, it was fun.
Thank you, man.